Now if we hit the magic button that will blow the car up and prevent you from knowing how to turn your car on and off again. Everything turns on, including the climate control, which was where I last left it. Usually I just leave it on auto, but right now it's on just manual on. I'll just turn it off for right now. The dashboard illuminates like this during the day at all times, and at night it does have the sensor up there right at the very top that will turn on the outside lights and also dim the instrument cluster illumination. The display button on the steering wheel will cycle through all of the information as you see it. And that's pretty much it. Otherwise, your standard fare of Toyota gauges, which are temperature, tach, speedometer, and fuel. It does have the notorious check engine light and an alternator light because the engine is not running at the moment. And you will also notice that it does not have an oil light. And that's because if there is low oil pressure, it will actually display that and give you a master warning, which is a little red triangle thing that lights up, which I'll show you in a little bit. The car will remind you if you leave the moonroof open. When you leave the car, it'll say it on the display, and it will flash the master warning light. Obviously, it'll tell you if a door is open, but if you watch, it actually animates the shutting of the door just for that extra little bit of Chinese circuitry. So that's all there. Nothing much else to see. You will see right here that the light on that is amber. And if I go and press it again, it just shuts everything off and says "Car me." And if you go and press it again, it says when starting the engine to press the brake pedal, etc., etc. And then you can turn it on and it'll keep yelling at you like that as such. So we'll go ahead and start this up now. And just step on the brake. Turns green and you just press the button. And now you know where that little bit in the beginning of the Halloween video came from. You will also notice that there is a nice amber warning light. That's called a TPMS light. For some reason, I am absolutely destined to drive a car with a warning light on for the rest of my life. I've already checked all of the tires. They are all set to the right pressure. I have reset the system already, and that light continues to flash for about a full minute and then stays on solid.
Have you disconnected the battery?
Yes, I have done that as well.
Have you unplugged the computer?
That does the same thing by disconnecting the battery.
Carry on.
Indeed. It does have some other... I'll show you the master warning light as well. If you go and put it into drive, just like that, and go and open the door, not only will it ding and beep, but it'll also yell at you, and you'll get to see the master warning indicator. And it will just continue screaming at you
Until you fall out of the car.
Until you fall out of the car, and it keeps cycling between the two different things there. And that's that with the master warning light. So it'll do that again if you leave the moonroof open and all that kind of great shit. I'll show you also the little thing. If you go into S, it automatically goes into 4th gear, 3, 2, 1, and of course all the way up to 6. And it's still basically like any other transmission that's automatic that you go to shift manually. It'll only let you do stuff when you actually can. In this car, not only will it not let you do something if the engine speed is too high, or if it would bring the engine speed too high, but it also will beep at you and tell you, no good, don't do that kind. Climate control, now that everything is here and on, basically you hit auto, It always favors putting the AC on as well, because it figures that if you're driving a luxury automobile with leather seats and you go and pay for this fakakta mess of a temperature climate control cluster, that you would of course want the air conditioning on whether or not it is actually needed. Front and rear defroster is right there. You can manually override the fan speed right here and select where the air is going to blow right over there. The auto is also an interesting thing because if it's cold out and the engine is cold, and right now it is not, but if the engine were cold and you put this up to the maximum temperature, which I'm going to change in a second, you won't get any air out of it for a few minutes of driving because the engine is too cold. And then suddenly out of nowhere, it'll just pop up and start running that fan speed up. It also is dual control, so if the pain in the ass over here wants it colder and I want it hotter, you can change that. You just dial in whatever temperature you want on this side, as you see, and that's different from that, and it lights up the dual thing right there. But if I go all the way up, you see how it raises that to where it thinks it would need it to get up to the highest temperature. And of course you can go all the way low, and it actually puts the recirculate on and does stupid shit like that. That's really it. One other interesting thing is it does say plasma cluster. And what is plasma cluster? It's almost like McCluster. But allegedly there is something that releases positive and negative ions from the driver's side left vent. And that's what that does. Again, it's only available on this model that has the automatic temperature climate controls, stuff like that. You also get a center console, which I forgot to show you. Not much in here. I just keep my power inverter and a spare cord from my what do you call it, tablet. This extends forward if you want, just like that, as more of an armrest. And I'll just show you the back seat, and then we'll go under the hood and take a look with it running. The back is quite roomy, unless you got a pain in the ass that likes to put the seat all the way back. Vents back here for the rear passenger aids. And they each have their own lights. They each have their own little lights here that they can turn on, and these move around as well, so you can make them all fancy whichever way you want it. This here is a latch, and there's one on the other side, but that's for this black thing in the back here. And what that is a window shade, a rear window shade, and it just hooks in on the back like that. I don't know why, but it's there, and that's what it's for. Rear seats in this car, because again this is the high-end one, are actually reclining rear seats. First of all, your rear cup holders, and this does not have folding rear seats because they are reclining, so instead you just get a hatch into the trunk, which is filled with all kinds of goodies. You can see right here how I've reclined this seat back, whereas this one, because it mates up, it is not. And when you pull the lever here, it will pop back into place and then snaps back in. You have rear headrests in all three positions, so your rear passengers will be as fancy as you.